Okay, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how we go from this
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo.
to this.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo. A Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As far as mixing vocals go, I think people tend to overthink it. There's only so many different things you can do. What I would say though is that there isn't like one magic thing that's going to make your vocals sound amazing, like not some magic plugin. It's more of a bunch of little things that you add up, and then over time, it starts to really make the vocal shine. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do it. How I mix my vocals. So, first of all, I got Melodyne here, and you don't need to use Melodyne. Melodyne's pretty expensive. I like Melodyne a lot. I think it's the best tuning that tunes vocals in a really, really transparent way. And so what I did here, just to save some time, is I already transferred in the vocal. So what you do is
Baila, baja.
you just hit transfer and it goes in, and then I can go to select all. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but a good way to just make sure your vocal is kind of locked in, and you can correct things pretty easily. You make sure you don't just do this for every vocal. There is a lot of value in going into each individual note and making corrections. But in this case, I can just go to macros, correct pitch, and then like if I just go like drag it like this, it's going to pitch all the vocals, or it's going to center them like that. You can see it, like the little movement there. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. I have other videos on my channel talking about Melodyne, so I would just check those out if you're interested. And for now, I'm just going to do that. And then what I'm also going to do, what I like to do is I like to tune the vocals and then go ahead and bounce track in place. And I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so now we've got the tuned vocal here. And the reason I do that is because with Melodyne, if you record into Melodyne, and let's say you move the track or you do anything, it ends up like it's really frustrating that if you move the track in Ableton, like the audio in Ableton, it's still the Melodyne version of it is still in the same section in Ableton, and it's just really tricky thing. So what I do is I just tune them, and then I just freeze the audio, and then now we've got tuned vocals, and I don't have to worry about Melodyne anymore. So that's what I do. And then let's go ahead. And first what we're going to look at is that this particular vocalist, you want to be careful when you do this. He recorded a little bit too hot, and so there is a little bit of peaking here and there, which you want to be careful not to do, but it's not a huge deal, so I'm just going to let it go. And then let's go ahead. And so what we do is
Baila, baja, toca.
I'm going to try throwing on Soothe, which isn't really necessary a lot of the times. Like, Soothe is really useful, but I'm just going to throw it on just to kind of help with any eliminate the harsh frequencies, especially because he recorded in a way that was kind of peaking.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo. A Vallarta.
And I'm just going to throw that on there and leave it there and kind of right here. And I'm not going to mess with anything. It's just going to help to kind of tone down any harsh frequencies. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Soothe. And by the way, the reason I can keep this vocal solo, and oftentimes when you're doing things like EQing and you're EQing other like instruments or synths or whatever in the mix, you don't want to solo them. You want to EQ them in the context. But the great thing about vocal, in my opinion, is that you can do whatever you want to make the vocal like sound exactly how you want it, because the vocal is the most important thing in your mix, and that's what we want to stand out and be up front. So you don't have to EQ it in context because it is the focal point of your mix. It is what you want to stand out. You can EQ and do whatever you want to it to make it sound nice and shiny and good, and then kind of mix everything else in your track around the vocal. Okay, so that's the way I kind of view like EQing and stuff. So I'm going to throw on, I'm going to do EQ next, and I like to do some general EQing before I do some compression, and then if I have after the compression, I can add more EQ. But the reason is because if you the good thing about if you compress before EQ and then you EQ, you're not gonna have to worry about the compressors. But EQing before compression is going to allow you to take out some of the unwanted stuff, and it's not going to emphasize certain things that you don't want to be emphasized with compression. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a listen.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo.
By the way, just a little trick: if you use the mouse wheel, that's how I can go like up and down and shape this curve. And so I've got a high pass filter, which means the highs are being passed through.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo.
Just leave it like right there. And then sometimes what I used to do is I'd go, but I've got soothe on there, but you could still kind of sweep through like this. And you can kind of attenuate stuff that's like really harsh that you don't want. And so it's, honestly, I don't know how necessary it is, but I like to do that. And then like, I'll just do like a boost.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España.
And let's go ahead and go back and forth and take a listen.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos como.
Okay, so that's good for now. I'm probably going to add more high-end EQ a bit more, like add a little bit boost later on. But for now, that sounds good to me because a lot of times, especially nowadays, you'll hear vocals, they have a lot of high frequency range boosted quite a bit to get that really nice, shiny, like upfront vocal and add a lot of like clarity to it. So now what I'm going to do is do some compression. And so compression, you don't have to overthink it. We're really just trying to even out the vocal. That way there's not like ups and downs. The vocal doesn't sound like it's coming into in and out. The loud parts aren't too loud. The quiet parts aren't too quiet. Evens it out so we can place the vocal up front in the mix. And so I like to do this combination of the CLA 2A or the 76 and the CLA 2A. And I can show you, but what I'm going to do instead is I'll show you just how we set this up. Typically, we just have the 76 catching the peaks, and then it goes into the CLA 2A. And so what you can think about compression is that high thresholds work well with, high ratios work well with high thresholds. So like a 10-to-1 ratio, and then a threshold that's catching the peaks, and then a 4-to-1 ratio that's kind of really compressing more gain reduction. And so I would usually use these, but just for example, so I can show you what we're doing. And I'm just going to get rid of these actually, as I'm just going to use Ableton's compressor. To be honest, I never really hear a massive difference between compressors like stock compressors and the analog emulated ones. But we have the Ableton compressor. We're going to put it on peak mode. Pretty much always put it on peak mode. That makes it actually like a standard compressor. We're going to put this one in 10-to-1 ratio, and then we're going to lower the attack, make it pretty fast, and then go ahead. I'm just going to be catching the peaks here. Oh, oops, I had the other one turned on. Let's turn that off. Okay. And then I'm going to turn up the out gain just a few. And then now I'm going to add another compressor. And then this one's going to be 4-to-1 ratio. I'm just going to make it a 10 millisecond attack time, which is basically kind of emulating what the, I believe the CLA2A has about a 10 millisecond. I could be wrong. And so now I'm going to lower this quite a bit, put up the makeup gain quite a bit. I'll put that on peak mode, of course, and then go ahead and group these together. I'll try to match, I'll try to match the volume so you can hear the difference here. So I'll turn it up a little bit. I'll turn the makeup down a little bit. It's going to be match. Okay, now listen, Mike. So the uncompressed vocal, you're going to hear the quiet parts drop out. The compressed vocal is going to be more even. You're going to hear the quieter parts more clear. Let's just go ahead and take a listen.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Baila, baja, toca el suelo.
So I can't speak Spanish, but like I'll just like go like on syllables. So like
Baila, baja, toca el suelo.
when he's going da 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 da, you can hear that the second part of each word is getting dropped out. Like da da da. It's like disappearing. But then the compressed version, you hear the whole word. So here's the compressed version.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo.
And then when it gets kind of loud there, it's not too loud. The compressor keeps it in check. Okay? So that's how I like to set up compressors. You don't even have to stack compressors like this. I like to stack compressors like this. You could just place a compressor on and see if it handles it. But this is going to work quite well. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add, well, first we're going to do some de-essing. I honestly just like to throw on the, I know there's like different special ways you could do this. You can use like the multi-band compressor to do this. For now, I'm just going to throw on the Pro de-esser because it's just easy. And I'm doing this after the compressor, or sorry, I'm throwing on FabFilter de-esser, and I'm doing it after compression because when you compress, you're compressing it right, you're bringing down the louds, and then you're boosting up the overall volume, which when you do that, you're going to increase the volume of unwanted sounds like S's and things like that, and breaths and stuff like that. So after compression is when I'm going to go ahead and do the de-essing. So we'll go ahead and play it, and I'll show you.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo. Vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
So let's play that last line right there, and I'll turn it off and on.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero. Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
So it's really, really subtle, but it is de-essing, and it is going to help. And I'm just going to go ahead and just leave it right there. It's just one and done. Throw it on there, and we're good to go. Don't really have to worry about it. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on Decapitator. This isn't super necessary, but he wanted really like an aggressive, gritty vocal, and this is going to add that nice, like I'll just show you what it's going to do. Let's just go ahead, and I like to put it on. I really like E mode because if you put Decapitator on a sine wave and you look visually what it's doing, like where it's adding harmonics and things like that. E mode typically has like a little boost in the high range, and so I like to put it on E, but I would encourage you to explore different sounds. They all are emulating different hardwares from the past, and so put it on E mode and then just put it the drive.
Chile, Cuba, España.
And I think there's a button. Oh, it's already on. Okay.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo. Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te. Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero.
So I'm going to turn off auto. I'm going to turn the output down. I really want to match the volume. That way you could hear the difference.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
And one thing you can do is you can go really extreme and then bring it down. So.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero. Chile, Cuba, España, pero. No se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos como balazos. Chile, Cuba, España, pero. Chile, Cuba, España, pero. No se te olvide el dinero. Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
I'm going to put the tone into bright.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
And actually, here's where I'm going to add in a little bit more EQ. I'm just going to use the Ableton's EQ. I'm going to boost the highs, add a shelf, boost the highs even more. I'll try doing it before. Oh, let's do it before the de-esser actually.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos como balazos. Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero.
I used to like doing this with FabFilter Pro Saturn or whatever it's called, Saturn, but I don't have the latest version, and so there's also like things you can use like Fresh Air, but honestly just putting another shelf on here and just boosting the highs works fine too, and it might seem extreme, but
Chile, Cuba, España, pero No se te olvide el dinero.
It is adding a lot of clarity that I want, and if you listen to a lot of pro vocals, a lot of them will have a lot of boost in the highs like this.
Chile,
So now,
Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana.
I'm going to just do a little bit more.
Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos como balas.
And honestly, let's go ahead and A-B it from what I've done up until now. And here, let's put this right here. We'll put soothe in there too. I'll start right here. We'll just go back and forth a little bit.
Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a bailar. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero.
So you can hear there's a huge difference there, right? That's really helping, and the vocal just sounds like way better. So now let's go ahead, and that's pretty much it for like compression and saturation. Oh, there's one other thing I like to add, a little bit of a chorus effect. I really like sound toys. Sound toys obviously are amazing. I would definitely recommend getting the sound toys pack. But I like the little, where is it? Micro shift. See, there's just regular micro shift and there's little micro shift. Do regular micro shift, then throw it on here. Okay, now check this out. I'm gonna turn the mix down a lot.
Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego. Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero.
Now if I go back and forth.
Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego.
Adds just like a nice chorus, like widening effect. I don't want to do too much of that though, so I'm just gonna leave it like right there. Not necessarily, you don't have to do that, but it's something that I like to do. And it just depends on the vocal. So let's talk about reverb. I could add like a little bit of a plate. So if I go down, like you add it straight up onto the vocal, it can add, like make it a little bit more 3D. And so if I do like this.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España.
Let's just make it really, really low mix. This is like a really subtle effect. And like I said, guys, this is like adding things up, that little tiny things up over time that create that nice 3D, awesome vocal sound. But as far as throwing vocals straight up onto a track, I like to use sends and returns. And especially for a vocal like this, that's like, that is like a rap kind of vocal, we want that up front and we want it to be mostly dry. So sends and returns are like a parallel processing way of adding an effect. And what I mean by that is if I have a reverb here and I send the vocal to it, it is just sending back a reverberated version of that in their parallel, versus if I throw a reverb directly on the channel, it's affecting the vocal, and it's not necessarily in parallel the same way that if you were to use sends and returns. But an extra, like even more advanced thing that I like to do, if you hear I got the vocal verb here, it's Valhalla Room, and I'm just doing like 3 seconds, whatever. And then if you can do a compressor with a really fast release, and then you put the compressor, you actually sidechain it to the vocal itself, and then when the vocal's playing, the reverb won't affect it, but then when it drops out, the reverb comes in, and you can do this with reverb and delays. So let's go ahead and play it. Whoops. Play the vocal, and I'll slowly add in the reverb, and you can kind of you can see what it's doing. So.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo, vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos como balazos, fiero, quiero.
It might not be as obvious. Let's go ahead and do it with the delay, because I think it's going to be a little bit more obvious when I do this. So check this out. And I have, for the delay I just set up Echo Boy, one of my favorite for delays. I have just 8 notes ping pong delay, like not even fully wet, just like halfway wet, and then the feedback around there. And I'll go ahead and just check this out.
Baila, baja, toca el suelo. Le gusta como le arranco el pelo. Vuelo a Vallarta y luego Chile, Cuba, España, pero no sé.
Okay, so right there, let's just listen right there. And we can dial in right here when it really drops out.
España, pero no se te olvide el dinero.
So it's when it drops out, it's really coming in. But like, so I can have it really subtle though. So as the vocal's playing, because it won't let it kick in right away.
España, pero no se te.
It only kicks in when it drops out, right? It has this really cool effect where the vocal stays really nice and up front, and then when it drops out, that delay comes in, and it's really cool. I like to just automate this stuff like that, and it sounds really cool.
España, pero no se te olvide el dinero. Las 6 de la mañana yo te espero. Besos.
So I would probably dial it in a little bit more than this, but for just sake of time, I'm not going to sit here and just do that. But those are really cool ways. And like I said, so on the return track, and then just put a compressor and then side chain it back up to the vocals and play with that, and you'll have it's a really cool way of adding reverb and delay to your vocals. Okay, and so that's pretty much it. That's how I like to do vocals. I know this video is a little bit long. I don't like to do like the quick edit, crazy edited videos that whatever. It's just, to me, like, I'm going to show you how I work in real time, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's it. Hope if you found that helpful, let me know. If there's any other videos you want to see, drop them in the comments. Check out my description if you want me to mix your track and have a video walkthrough of exactly how I mix your track and really work with you to bring your track to that next level. Look in the description, and there's links down there below. I also kind of putting my website back together, so there should be a free, maybe not today if you're seeing this, but maybe I have a free mix training. It'll also be in the description where you can click that, and it'll be a video mix training that'll save you a lot of time, money, and frustration, as well as free PDFs and guides and all that type of stuff. So check that stuff out below, and I'll see you guys again next time.